I am sorry that this is a bit long and takes a while to really get into the encounter. It's just how I tell my stories. My grammar is bad, I know, so please don't hate me too much for it. Okay, before I start, I have had 7 encounters with Skinwalker, the first being when I was 9 and the last one being 3 months ago. I am now 16. So I don't know if what I call a Skinwalker is what everyone else will think a Skinwalker is. I have been calling them that since I had my second encounter when I was 10, before I knew that Skinwalkers were already a thing. If you want to skip all of the background information, skip to paragraph 8, that is where the encounter starts. Okay, on to the story. Like I stated earlier, I am 16 and I currently live in Massachusetts. I have also lived in Michigan and Wisconsin and have had encounters in both. I live near Boston, but was going on a road trip with my friend and his family out to their new place in the more remote parts of Massachusetts. And yes, Massachusetts has remote parts. I'll call my friend Chad. We got to their house and I was planning on staying for about a week to help them get settled in and to see the surrounding area. At the edge of their property they have these woods that start off with just a few trees here and there, but after a 5-minute walk get really damn thick. On the 3rd day of me being there, Chad's mom says she wants to give me and Chad a day off so we could do whatever we wanted. At first we wandered around the property and hung around the house. Then we choose to walk to the closest town. This takes 30 minutes. The town's small and there isn't much to do, but I'm happy just to be back. We're in a place like I lived for most of my life. Small and in the middle of nowhere. We talked to the owner of an ice cream shop who told us a bit of history about the town, nothing important or exciting. After that we started back to Chad's house. We got back around noon, and I suggested we go for a walk in the woods. Chad, who isn't the outdoorsy type, said no, but after a couple of minutes of me nagging him to go, he agreed. Even though I go out all the time, I camp and walk trails at night most of the time, I have gotten paranoid due to the Skinwalkers and the other stuff, so I always have my pocket knife with me when I go out like this, so I ran into the house to get it. We started into the woods, leaving a really obvious trail. Like I said, the woods are very thick. At first Chad spends his time grumbling things like there are too many bugs and it's too damn warm out to be doing things. Keep in mind last month was October. After a while he started to enjoy being outside and actually said he liked it and wanted to go farther into the woods. By now it was about 4:30 and it was starting to get dark, but I didn't really care all that much. We kept going and dark fell rapidly to the point where I couldn't see much. Okay, thank you for staying with the story thus far. This is the part with the encounter. We had started on our way back, but at some point we got separated. I noticed this and turned the flashlight app on my phone on, spinning around to see if I could see Chad. I couldn't. Chad? I called out. Can you hear me? If you can, say something. I waited and a few moments later off to my right I heard a feeble stammer, Zach. Zach is my name. It sounded just like Chad, and I quickly turned in the direction of the noise and slowly walked towards it. I didn't see anything, so I moved my light horizontally to try and spot anything. I called out again, Chad? And got Zach. Again, it was much stronger and louder this time. I walked forward with more confidence, but stopped dead in my tracks as I heard something big moving very quickly through the bush from right behind me. I whipped around frantically and came face to face with Chad. At first I was stunned. I mean, I had heard him from the opposite direction. Up to this point in my life I had only encountered a Skinwalker with another person once, and we were together when it happened, so this situation was new to me. What the fuck? Why did you walk behind to get me? Why didn't you come from the same direction as your fucking voice? I practically yelled at him, overcome by anger at being tricked like that. What are you talking about? You were the one changing directions. Chad yelled back. What? I said quietly. I shined my light on him. I could see he was obviously shaken. I heard you call my name, and I started walking to you. You sounded scared or hurt at first, but after a few minutes you started saying my name normally. Then you stopped answering my calls and I heard you from behind me and I saw your light, so I started running at you, Dick. He explained. I paled, finally putting the pieces together. I had encountered skinwalkers that could impersonate a person's voice before, and I realized that a skinwalker, or something of the sort, was in the woods with us. There was a faint noise of movement behind me and I turned around to see a horrible sight not 10 feet from me. Its head looked like a wolf's, like the kind you would see at the zoo. It was tall, maybe 6.5 feet tall. Its head, shoulders, arms, and chest were all covered in thick gray/white fur. Its legs and most of its stomach held a much thinner pelt of the same fur. Both Chad and myself saw this creature and ran faster than I thought we could. For whatever reason, the creature didn't give chase and we made it out of the forest without incident. Chad told his family, who didn't believe him. I didn't tell mine because they haven't believed me about this stuff in the past. Chad has not gone back in the woods and has not seen the beast again. It didn't look like the other skinwalkers I had encountered before, and at this point I only call it a skinwalker because I have no other name for it other than wolfman. But I am not calling it that. I have looked it up and the only thing I could find is a werewolf, but I don't think that's it. For one, it wasn't a full moon out. If you have any ideas on what this creature was, I am open to suggestions.